Nation, and welcome to yet another awesome episode live from our headquarters in Dubai. As you know, education is a massive focus at PHILCoin, and as we launch our new product, Full Education, the timing couldn't be more perfect to welcome our latest guest, who is a young leader in the space. Juliana is a student marketing associate, ambassador of Women in Blockchain Miami, and founder of Blockchain at Florida International University. Juliana, thank you so much for joining us today. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this podcast session. As April said, my name is Juliana. I'm a student at Florida International University. I'll be graduating in the summer, so I'm getting my bachelor's in public relations and communication, so marketing. So I'm a marketing professional by day, but all other hours of the day, I'm really keen on student education and onboarding more students to blockchain technology. So I do lead the first blockchain student organization at my university out of just my passion for, spreading awareness about this technology. And on my weekends, I assist with the Women in Blockchain Miami branch. And I'm also very focused of driving gender equity in the space and seeing more women representation in technology. So yeah, I'm super passionate about blockchain.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned about the gender equality. As we know, this space does tend to be more geared towards men. So it's
Yeah.
amazing to have you, not just as a student, but obviously also as a woman in the space. But, what got you into blockchain in the first place, though?
Yeah, so I got into blockchain back in 2020 during COVID, the pandemic. It was during quarantine. I think everyone around the world was home alone, and I was researching ways like, how do I get rich or what do I do to escape, everything that was going on. And one of the top things that they were recommending you invested in during COVID was Bitcoin. And before that, I had just recently graduated high school. I didn't know what Bitcoin was. I had somewhat heard about it during high school in 2016, but it had just went over my head. And I decided to do more research. Okay, what is Bitcoin? And that's when I learned about the history and the technology that cryptography is built on, cryptocurrencies, which is blockchain. And blockchain lays the foundation for all of this revolutionary DeFi that we saw. And I decided to invest in Bitcoin. And it was because of that rise that we saw during this time from 2020 to 2021. I was like, it really clicked in my head. This technology is revolutionary. There's more to it. And just by doing my own research, I realized that blockchain will be the new way that we communicate and transfer data. And it's just as simple as the internet. It's just going to be the new way that we just transfer data without, a middleman, and the way that we communicate in our everyday lives. So that is what really made me an enthusiast. I started attending conferences. And then from there, I said, I need to bring this to a university standpoint. And that encouraged me to start blockchain at FIU because I think as students, it's our responsibility to be aware of new technologies that are coming out and know how it's going to be applied to the industry that we're studying. Or even if we're deciding to take an entrepreneurial route, we know that this technology will revolutionize the market. So we're going to have to adopt it or just be aware of the benefits that it provides. So that is ultimately how I got in and what inspired me to start the club at my school.
I love that. I think that's really, really inspiring. And, your story is the perfect example of how many young people have gotten into the space. It has been that idea of, what, during COVID, people were sitting at home, spending more time in front of their computers, and learning more about what was happening within technology and, of course, with the crypto space. Many of them obviously were also very excited by the idea that they can make money out of crypto and they can see tremendous growth from investing in certain projects. But what I really love about your story is that you took it one step further by educating yourself further on the space and where it's headed, and then sharing that knowledge with other people like yourself. So I'd love to understand a little bit more about these classes that you have with blockchain at FIU. How often do you meet? What do you talk about? And who are the types of sort of students that you find are most interested in attending your classes?
Yes. So I think you touched on a very important point. A lot of the students that we do connect with, they got into it because they were thinking of the ways that they can make more money or how to trade and more of the financial side of things. But what we really like to focus on with blockchain at FIU is the high level education, that this is more than just computer science, this is more than just finance. So the students that do gravitate to our club, they're mostly computer science and finance backgrounds, but we like to make the education we provide very inclusive to demonstrate that blockchain is being applied to so much more. It's being applied to real estate, it's being applied to the medical industry. And this way we are broadening, the target audience that we're reaching, and also demonstrating that, one, this technology shouldn't be intimidating, and even if you don't have a technical background or a finance background, you should be learning about this technology because it's going to affect whatever you're heading into. So in the fall semester last year, which was our first semester as a new organization, we provided education mostly by bringing in industry professionals from different backgrounds to talk about the benefits, but also how it's benefiting their specific field of work. And that was a way to broaden the range and attract more students to our club. And in addition to that, we provided a lot of opportunities and resources that we were given from other companies. For example, ETH Miami provided a free Solidity course to our members, and that was awesome. We really want to, provide them with the skills that they can acquire now so they're able to build after they leave the club. And something that we're rolling out this new semester, and today is actually the first day, will be our technical workshops. And the curriculum was created by our technical director. His name is Roy. He's an international student from India, and he developed the curriculum for Intro to Solidity and Rust. So these will be two of the top blockchain programming languages. And it's a new rollout this spring semester because something that we didn't do in the fall was provide this technical education that is really needed to give students the skills and the tools that they need to build within blockchain. So that's something that we're doing new. We meet twice a month and we bring in industry professionals to talk about more high level applications of the technology. And then on top of that, we're doing a lot of partnerships with other organizations at our university. For example, in March, during Women's History Month, we'll have a Women in Tech event at our school in partnership with Women in Computer Science and Women in Cybersecurity. So that's a way for us to reach the students, but provide them an educational and fun event for them to learn about our organizations and also empower women to step into technology. And then we're partnering with our School of Law to have a blockchain symposium. And we partnered recently with the engineering club to put together a mining rig demonstration.
Oh, wow.
So we're having projects, events, meetings twice a month. And now we have our technical workshops to really be as inclusive as we can, as diverse as we can, and having the most impact, not only at our school, but with the community of students in Miami.
So that's awesome that you are also focusing on blockchain within sectors as well to really help students understand how it's going to benefit each of their sectors and touch on more, beyond just normal wealth generation, passive income, play to earn games, actually really understanding, like you said, the technology behind blockchain and how that's the future for many, many industries. So, how have you found your university has responded to this? I imagine they were quite welcoming if they're allowing you to have all of these meetings. But did you find any apprehension in the beginning when you started the organization?
So actually, no, yes and no. So our university, with any university, there's, the bureaucracy of it, and going through that is a process. But in terms of FIU accepting blockchain technology, they've become very receptive to it in the last few years. Recently, our university did partner with blockchain.com. And because of this partnership, there's now an introduction of Web3 courses at our university. And that's also another way, going to these courses and talking to students is a way to engage with the student body. So in terms of our university understanding that this technology is coming, it's coming fast, students are interested, as an innovative and a big university that it is, it's almost like they're at a position where they have to accept this technology with open arms. But in terms of our club being so new, I don't think too much of faculty and the leadership staff at our university is aware of our club just yet. There
Mhm.
are some faculty of staff that are aware and they're willing to support us in our new endeavors, but reaching the top leadership is still a process that we're trying to climb to get more support from it. But I think FIU has definitely become more receptive to blockchain technology, and now they're welcoming it with open arms, whereas before there was more of the standoffish, I think pre-COVID, to even have anything blockchain related or web3 related. And I've heard that from multiple people in the community, so it's great to see the growth.
Well, I think the way that you're going about it as well, huge respect to you for taking this on and taking on this position of not just introducing blockchain, but also advocating for blockchain within the education sector. And also just empowering other students as well when it comes to what they are studying and what they are doing and how they can learn more about blockchain within their space. So absolute kudos to you. I absolutely admire you. I don't know how you fit it in with your studies and everything else that I'm sure you have going on. And
Crazy.
of course, maintaining somewhat of a social life since you are a student as well. But have
Yeah.
you found it challenging advocating for blockchain, given the bear market that we are, hopefully coming out of? There is light at the end of the tunnel that we're seeing now at the beginning of 2023. But 2022 was a rough year for the space. So did you find any difficulty bringing in, new members to your club or even just introducing blockchain to people your age?
Yeah, so that's another yes and no question. So I remember our club started during 2022. We started in August of last year. And something from talking with other blockchain clubs at different universities and schools, the leadership team on those clubs have said, if you would have started your club 1 year prior or even in 2020, you guys would be, flooded in
Yeah.
sponsorships and grants and all of this stuff. And I was like, darn it, I didn't do it. But not even that, it's in terms of advocacy, it's not necessarily hard to advocate. I think the local community and companies know that this technology is coming and it should be supported, but I don't think they're in a position where they're looking at investing in student education or university education as something that will provide the return that they need at the current moment. So, in terms of advocacy, not too much of a lack. It's more in convincing or getting people to understand that investing in student education is important, because we'll be the ones building with after we step out, or even currently as we're studying, we're already building with this technology, and we're going to be the future of the workforce and so on and so forth. There's many reasons why companies should be supporting the different initiatives and endeavors that university students are currently heading in. But I think because of the bear market, they're not seeing it as a priority, and that's something that I hope shifts soon, especially as we're rising now, so we can get more support for the different things that we do have going on. But on the student level, in fact, we've seen it was actually one of the best years to get more community engagement, despite everything that was going on with the FTX situation and multiple things that were going on. It actually encouraged more community engagement. So people were talking about getting everything off your exchanges and moving it to your hard wallet and security practices, which is very important, because with more freedom, now they have more responsibility. And then on top of that, it's more of like continue to hold, everything that you're investing in. So it's become almost like a bonding moment for the community
Yeah.
during this time to support one another. So from the student level, not too much. It's more from the local community and companies that we want to work with, that right now they're hesitant because of the current state of the market.
And that's
Yeah.
that's a really great insight, because I can totally understand, being in a startup at the moment. Of course, I am in the space, but if I
Yeah.
was in a traditional space, I can imagine that we would be hesitant to invest in any new technology given the current state of the space that we're in. You look at the more traditional tech companies and all the layoffs that they're having at the moment. It's a bit of a scary time. So from an organizational point of view, I can understand the hesitation, but I'm sure that, it's just a matter of time because so many
Yeah.
industries are introducing some sort of blockchain or crypto solution into their organizations. And then the other point that you touched on, which was, that word support, which I thought was really, really powerful and just hit the nail on the head in terms of supporting communities through this crypto winter is fundamental. And advice for any young people out there, or any crypto projects as well, is to support your communities through education, through giving them the right tools, through holding their hands, being more available as well is really important. And then for them to also understand why the crypto winter is happening, why the FTX scandal happened, what caused that, and also what that means for the rest of the industry as well. So, on that topic of support and education, how do you help students to discern between an authentic project or a scam project? Because there are so many projects out there. So, what kind of tools or tips and tricks do you provide them with in order to know which projects to follow and invest in?
Awesome. So the first thing we tell is always do your own research. I think that's part of the ethics of this industry is, there's tips and tricks, but always do your own research. And on that note, when you are doing your own research, there's a lot of things that you should look for. So one is the background of the people that are starting this project. Really look into the founders, really look into where their background comes from, what support do they currently have? Are they just a project that appeared out of nowhere? That are things to look for, the reputation of the project that you're investing, because you're ultimately investing into their mission, and their mission started from whoever their founders are. So I think that is one main thing to look for when you are conducting research. And then another thing is almost like this is more on not clicking links that get sent to you, or being more protective of
Very
your
important.
security. Yeah, your security and your digital identity online. So there's a lot of pages, like I get emails all the time from Coinbase. It's not actually Coinbase, but they're constantly sending me emails that I withdraw this much money from their platform and all of this. So like making sure that where you're getting messages from, checking over and over again the username, the email address, making sure it's authentic. Sometimes it can be off by a word. If it doesn't feel safe, if it doesn't feel legitimate, it most likely isn't. That's something else we like to say. If it trust your intuition, if it feels like a scam, it most likely is a scam. Protect your online presence. Don't click on any misleading links. Don't give anyone your seed phrase, just the basics of security in this space. And like I mentioned earlier, with more freedom, there's more responsibility. So everywhere from doing your own research, really looking into the background of these projects. If it feels like a scam, it most likely is. And then lastly is always implementing the basic security practice of the Web3 ecosystem, protecting your digital identity and your wallet at all times.
Those are awesome tips and tricks. Thank you so much for sharing. And I completely agree. Protecting your digital identity is so important. And I think your generation benefits from having spent all this time online, and most of what you do online, social media, through your learning, through connecting with friends, playing games online with friends. You have a better understanding of how this online world works, and how easy it is to manipulate online. Whereas, my generation as well, I would say we are also very used to the online space. But when you look to, the older generations, it's a little bit harder to actually get them to understand this level of protection and security. So great tips and tricks. Thank you. We can share it with everybody, whether young and old. So I wanted to touch on next on AI. Obviously, Chat GPT has been a very big topic lately in the news. How do you think that software like Chat GPT and any other AI solutions are impacting the lives of students? Are there any concerns on how students are using AI in their projects and their assignments? I'm sure they do have quite a few concerns.
Yes, so there's a lot of concerns, but there's also a lot of like enthusiasm and excitement from the students. Personally, I love ChatGPT. I think it's amazing. Kudos to, the creators of ChatGPT.
Uh-huh.
It completely optimized my productivity, my output at work. Like I mentioned, I work in marketing, and
Mhm.
it's just completely shifted the way that I do copywriting and content creation. My boss the other day was like, "Wow, I'm surprised by your output lately." And I was like, "Yes, it's ChatGPT." And I'm not afraid to talk about it that openly because I think AI is a tool. It's supposed to enhance and help us. It's a tool. And I think that's what people are missing. They're looking at AI as a replacement instead of viewing it as something that's making our life easier. Especially like you mentioned, we live in today's world, we're all doing so many different things, so many different projects. We need things like artificial intelligence to help us through this. If it wasn't for ChatGPT, I would probably be under more stress now. So I think viewing it from this is a tool, not a replacement, is always the way to go, especially where we currently are with technology. It's not going to become a replacement anytime soon. I don't think we're there yet.
Mhm.
Maybe later down the line, yes. And at the concern from a university standpoint, I understand it, especially educators are now thinking, oh, this replaces my job, or, again, thinking from replacement. But I think both teachers and students need to see it as a tool. Teachers can utilize ChatGPT to enhance the lessons that they're providing to students.
Mhm.
And trying to go about it like banning it from the schools or banning it from the classrooms, it's not going to work. Students are always going to find a way to cheat. Students are always going to find a way to reach the technology that's being banned. So I think banning it is never the way to go. It's more of embracing it, viewing it as a tool, not replacement, and actually utilizing this time to view how this is going to be the future that we're going to live in. So almost using it as like this is where we're headed in terms of technology,
Mhm.
and having open discussions about it. Actually, the faculty advisor for our club the other day, we had an open discussion about it, and he is in full support in terms of this is something that we're going to work with, not work against.
Yeah.
And our community at Blockchain at FIU, they are constantly talking about AI. Something that we're thinking for the fall of 2023 is changing our name to the Web3 Club at FIU. So W3, to be more inclusive
Right.
of everything going on within the Web3 ecosystem, because blockchain lays the foundation to build in Web3, but there's so much more like AI, like the metaverse. And we want to make sure we're the organization at our school really leading in driving that mainstream adoption to fully move us from Web 2 to Web 3. So I think it's very exciting what we're seeing with AI.
Awesome. And you totally touched on a great point there about it being a tool. And especially being in marketing, since I'm in marketing myself, a lot of people are talking about ChatGPT as a replacement for marketing professionals. But at the end of the
Right.
day, it's a, like you said, it's a tool, it's a technology that can help to improve efficiencies, help to improve processes, even ways of learning as well. But you always still need to come back to that human element. If COVID and the pandemic taught me anything about the importance of marketing, it's about being more human centered and less about trying to get out the most awesome clickbait campaigns. It's really tapping into that human psychology and understanding human needs, which right now, as the AI technology stands, is yet to be able to grasp. So, yes, it can provide the output of giving us information, writing an essay, giving us advice on marketing activities, but we still need humans in these marketing positions and in any other position in order to understand the human element and the human needs, and to also just give a sense of personality to things as well. So, ChatGPT, we've been spending a lot of time looking into it and understanding it. And from an education point of view, I can really see the benefit of ChatGPT within the education space because it really helps to simplify complex ideas. So, as a class of, say, 50 students, you all study differently, you all learn at a different pace, and you might be really great at grasping some concepts, whereas other concepts you may be a bit slower to grasp. I love the fact that we can use AI or chat GPT in this specific case to really simplify and water down complex ideas that we can better understand it. So, from, like I said, from an education point of view, I really do see the benefit for it. I do see how it can help people to learn faster and better, and eventually, take over maybe the textbook space, replacing textbooks entirely. But I agree with you. It is not yet at that point where we should be worried about it taking over anybody's actual seats within an organization.
Yes. And I think you
So,
touched on something very true, is the fact that everyone does learn differently. And this can be a way to enhance the way that every individual learns. And I had never thought about that before. And that is very true. And I agree, it should be something that educators are working with, not against. Yeah.
amazing. So actually, that was going to be my next topic, was going to be, how do we see, or how do you see students at your university or other universities embracing AI, which we've already touched on. But I'd love to understand, your university at the moment. Have there been any rules or regulations in place with AI? Have they introduced anything yet? Is it that much on their radar that they are concerned about how the students might be using it for plagiarism or anything?
So not that I am personally aware of or know that is currently going on, because I am an online student. I'm only in person because of the club from time to time. But I do know from what I spoke with my faculty advisor, educators are worried, but at the same time, a lot of them aren't even aware that this technology is here yet. So a lot of them are just thinking, wow, there's been an increase in productivity with my students, or why, my students are really enhancing their skills, and they're not aware that it's because of chat GPT. So it's
Right.
both ends. There's educators that are aware, they are worried. I'm not sure if they're implementing any rules or guidelines yet. I know plagiarism is it's a rule at our from a university standpoint. If you plagiarize, you can be you'll leave the university, you'll have to drop out. But I'm not aware if there's any rules being put into place. But I do know that a lot of the professors at our school aren't even aware of ChatGPT yet. But
Right.
maybe when they become more aware about it, we'll start hearing of more of these university announcements of, don't use this, or you can get in
Yeah.
trouble for using this, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's likely to be completely blocked from any devices or,
Yeah.
university servers. So I'd love to know what projects you are keeping your eyes on at the moment. And that can be within, AI, crypto, blockchain. What projects do you find are most fascinating for you, and why?
So currently, I think because I am so busy juggling so many different things, the projects that I'm keeping my eyes on are primarily the projects that I'm working on, from, development on a student level. We're currently working with other colleges and universities within the South Florida area to create a DAO. So a decentralized autonomous organization that will be a coalition of multiple schools that are driving to forward Web3 education in the space. And we have a bigger impact if we all come together. So that's a project that I'm currently developing. But because I'm at the education standpoint, I'm always keeping up with other projects that are focused on student education. So other projects similar to the ones that I'm currently developing is the BAF network. And the BAF network is another coalition of multiple schools, and that is supported by Near Protocol. College DAO is another emerging new platform that's doing similar things for schools more at the northeastern side of the US. And also globally, I think they just onboarded Singapore university and colleges. So that's
Awesome.
very exciting there. There's the Franklin DAO. So mostly the projects that I'm keeping up with are projects that are connecting students with students and driving that education from onboarding students from even younger generations, not just university. So those are the projects that I'm mostly keeping up with. I'm thinking to see if there's other projects more in the community that I've been keeping up, but I've just been so consumed with education. It's mostly those projects that I'm always keeping my eyes on because it's fundamentally going to coincide with what we're currently doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
Another one I
way to use your time
yeah.
as well, is to focus on what you are actually doing and what you're focused on.
Yes, I forgot to mention one project and community that I'm very keen on. It is Web3 equity, and this is more of a community project from founded by Michelle Labs. And Web3 equity is another community that's driving gender equity in the space by making the technology not be intimidating, like we were saying before, breaking it down to the basics and the fundamentals so anyone, whatever their age is, can understand how this technology works and be able to protect themselves and their digital identity.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. So you're involved in not just on the student level, but also more on an inclusive level as well. You know, people from different
Yes.
places around the world, like you mentioned, Singapore, but also different age groups too. And there was one word that you said, which was connection. And I think that's also another really powerful point of blockchain is how it's able to connect people, connect communities, and also connect industries as well. And that's something that the technology allows us, and the opportunities that it allows us, that traditional sectors have been struggling to create that sense of connection. Now, when we talk connection, I know that you've also had a lot of events in the past. You've met a lot of amazing people within the space. Is there anybody who has personally impacted you the most that you've met, from an influencer or an educator within the blockchain Web3 space?
Yes, so someone that has really, it's two people I'm going to talk about. So one, it's more of she has been a mentor for me. Her name is Maria Sabando. She is actually the community manager for the Al Grand Foundation, but she is also our advisor with Women in Blockchain Miami. She also works with the local community with her own project initiative, which is Bit Miami, where it's a community mostly of Bitcoiners that come and learn about workshops and building projects with this technology and programming. So she is very hands-on with the community, and it's almost I look up to her as someone that I would want to be in the local communities, helping not only just students but people start utilizing this technology in their everyday lives and start building. And because she is a community manager for Algorand, she has provided me a lot of knowledge on how to build and maintain a community, because I think that was one of our struggles, is stepping into a leadership position but not knowing how to manage a community.
Right.
And community being such a key factor in not just blockchain but in any industry. Without a community, you don't have anything.
Right.
So Maria has really been, an advisor and a mentor for me on how to go about community building the right way, how to empower more women, and ways to actually get hands-on and providing people with the skills and tools that they need. Because the way that you know that you actually educated someone is if you're able to leave the room and not be there, and they can build on their own and implement this on their own without you needing to hold their hand along the way. That's how you know that you actually taught someone something. So from that standpoint, Maria has been amazing. And then I also wanted to shout out Sheldon Deere. He has been a big support helping our organization. He is part of the Near Protocol near Miami. And he is just someone that I admire in terms of he has really impacted me in the way that he selflessly has gone above and beyond to always work with students on a student level. He helped our technical director develop the curriculum. So it's people that are selflessly working with students for student education and within the community that is inspiring for me, because that's what I aspire to one day get to, or probably very soon, is constantly be in the community building and connecting, like you mentioned, with others.
That's beautiful. That sense of community is so true. Again, coming
Yes.
back to not just the space, but being in marketing, that sense of community is so important because, that marketing rule, which is it's more expensive to attract new customers than to retain old ones.
Yes.
So that's why that community building is so important for any project or any organization to make sure that you listen, you understand, and you help to keep them informed and being as transparent as possible about what's happening within the organization, because then they really do feel like they are part of the community, part of your family. And what I love about the two individuals that you mentioned as well was the selflessness of them educating and helping you to, well, empowering you as well with all the tools and all the knowledge that you need. This space does have a bad rap for being, quite egocentric. And you do see a lot of people in the space that they come across as just being in it for their own financial and personal gain and fame. So it's wonderful to also bring it back to those individuals on the ground who are making a difference to different people's lives and who are doing it for the core purpose of pushing blockchain forward and having people understand the importance of blockchain and the importance of where this is headed in the future. So thank you for sharing. So I
Yeah.
know we are running out of time. I just wanted to end off on a little bit of a lighter note. So for your next event, you can invite absolutely anybody that you want from the space. Who would be the people that you would invite to sit with you at the table?
So our next event is actually March 24th, and that's going to be our Women in Tech event. Obviously, Phil Coin is invited. I would love for
Well,
you
thank
guys
you
to,
so much.
yeah.
We'd love to be there.
Yes, but another community that I'm currently working towards reaching is World of Women.
Mhm.
So I think World of Women is a project that I didn't mention earlier, but it's another project that I admire for what they're currently working in. And that would be, another community that we would love to have at the table supporting this initiative for what we're doing for women. World of Women, I would like to see more support from, bigger companies, especially maybe blockchain.com that is partnered with our university. We're currently in talks, so that will be very exciting. Trying to think more of, ideal companies that we're looking into. Um,
Any
can't really
influences? Are there any influences that you follow that you would love to have at the table?
influencers. I think I some a big influencer that I really admire is Gary Vee and what he's doing. He's very active in terms of like being a support system and a mentor for students. I love, watching his reels. They're very inspiring, but he's also very immersed in Web3. He's an advocate for it. He's the same way, this is going to revolutionize, this is going to be a tool for us. Let's not run away from it. Let's embrace it. So in terms of influencers, I think Gary Vee is the first one that comes to mind. And I'm trying to think of other influencers and just doesn't ring, doesn't come to my head right
And
away.
he's a great example. In fact, Gary Vee, I've heard he might be at one of the big events in Dubai this year. He would be
Awesome.
one of the main speakers and hosts. So very much look forward to that, and I hope there's truth to it as well. I
Mhm.
completely agree in terms of that inspirational leadership he's had. I've followed him for years when he was talking more from a leadership and company point of view, about employee well-being, about how to be a leader, not a boss. And I've watched his transition more into this tech space and talking more about the future. So he's definitely keeping up with the times and keeping up with where the world is headed.
Yes, and he's definitely a really great leader, like you mentioned. He almost just gets it from any standpoint, any age group. He understands, and he really demonstrates the ethics of that in what he does in all his different projects and endeavors. So yeah, it's really amazing.
Absolutely. Well, Juliana, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on PHILCast today. What I find is most inspiring about you is that you have such a mature way of thinking about where the future is going, and also a mature way of bringing people together, whether they are students or people of different ages, to really talk about technology, talk about blockchain, and to also support each other one on one, to better understand, where the world is headed. And I really appreciate that somebody who I'm sure you have many hours that you are spending studying, attending classes, spending time with your club, and of course, looking into investments, investors, and partnerships. I appreciate that you made time to be on our podcast today. So, thank you so much for what you're doing in your community and at your university. I hope that this episode inspires others like you to not just invest in the space and to learn more about the space, but also to share their knowledge with others. So, thank you for sharing all your thoughts today and being part of the community.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for inviting me. This has been an awesome experience. I feel so honored and just happy to get the support and be able to be here today. So, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. Thanks.
Thanks, Juliana. And do you want to do a shout out to our listeners, where they can follow you personally or even just follow blockchain at FIU? Do you want to tell us what the handles are for your social media?
Yes, so we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and our handle is blockchain at FIU. And I am mostly active on Twitter. I'm still trying to build a bigger presence on Twitter. My username is Julie with two I's and then ELIZAB. So that is for mine, it's Julie, two I's, ELIZAB. And for blockchain at FIU, it's blockchain at with AT FIU, and that's on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So we would love to connect, and any ways you want to support student initiatives, we're all ears.
Absolutely. Well, I encourage our listeners today to follow your social media pages and let's really put power behind that word of connection and community. So, thank you again. It's been such a pleasure having you on board as an inspirational student, but also somebody who is an advocate for women within the space. Thanks, Juliana, and I really hope we'll catch up again soon.
Yes, thank you so much.